Hi, everybody. I'm Immigration Lawyer John Kasravi. Thank you for joining us on our live show. It's going to be a fun one, coming to you live from southern Mexico, not southern Mexico, I guess Baja, California, southern California. And we're here to take immigration questions live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. No Instagram today. Forgot to bring my second phone on vacation. So I'm having a little vacation here, but I had to make sure to come and join you all to take your questions live about U.S. immigration. So just post them here. Do our best to go through all of them. Please try to avoid asking the same question over and over again because it gets hard to keep track of stuff that's coming up. But again, we're coming live. All the information here is for general education purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance. It's very important you know that. But one important note is if you're interested in a marriage green card case, you want to get a green card for your spouse or fiance, we have a guide that really helps you through the whole thing called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide. You could download it at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. For those tuning in right now, how loud is the music behind me? Can you hear it? Or is it something I hear but you all can't hear? I don't know. Let me know in the post as you're hearing this. How loud is the music in the background? I can't do anything about it, but hey, it is what it is. In the meantime, feel free to post your questions as they're coming up. We have so many updates happening in the immigration system. I don't even know where to start. And they're so technical a lot of times, hard to really go into it unless you have a particular case in front of us at that time. But so jump in with your immigration questions. We'll answer for the next half an hour. We do this every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Right now, 6 p.m. Eastern, where I'm at right now, but Central Time or Mountain Time, something like that. But we're doing it for 3 years now. We're keeping it up. We don't want to miss any. So just hit me up with your questions as it comes. The immigration system, some parts are getting faster. For example, if you have a marriage green card case or a fiance visa and your fiance or spouse is Mexican, they're in Mexico, the embassy in Ciudad Juarez is kind of sped up. It was taking almost a year and a half, 2 years to get interviews. We're getting interviews right now much faster, in 6 months. I'm really happy about that. So that's really good. Asghar says, I already submitted my I-586 for January 2nd without statement of proof. I submitted proof now. I don't know what an I-586 is. It's not you might be putting the form number wrong. So Asghar, let me please retype your question with the proper form type so I know what kind of case you have. One I-586 is a border crossing card. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but it's not a typical form that's used. Ed Reed said, "Hello, sir. I have an asylum case been pending 15 months. No response." Yeah, those takes. I see people with asylum cases that are pending for 7 years. So it is. These are just really backed up. If you want to sue them, maybe that could speed things up, but that's maybe the only option. Michael Strauss, thanks for letting me know music isn't too loud. Una Luna, hello to you too. BK Pun says, does a speeding ticket affect removal of conditions applications? No, it doesn't. Actually, on the removal of conditions applications form I-751, it specifically says do not include speeding tickets on the part where it asks about arrest history and the like. It's listed on the form from what I recall in all the versions the last 10 years. That's that. Michael Strauss follows up. My fiance is in Mexico City. I'm in Oregon. She has some health challenges and I'd like to come here so I can care for her. Is there a visa that allows that? Not really, unfortunately, especially because you're a fiance. So typically, people come in with a tourist visa, stay here a period of time. There is a medical tourist visa, but you have to follow certain conditions to get it. You have to have some sort of medical situation that you can't get help outside the United States, and you have to show you have the finances to pay for it and a doctor set up to help you. Your fiance could try to get a regular tourist visa to visit, but one, being your fiance, there's a question if you have a fiance, and there's a good chance they'll deny your tourist visa for that reason. But secondly, if you tell them you come for medical stuff, they'll be afraid that you're going to come here and not pay for medical, take care of, go to hospital and not pay for and stuff. So it doesn't look good, but you can always try filing for a tourist visa to see what happens. The problem is tourist visa appointments are really backed up, so it's hard to get those. Alternative thing is to just apply for a fiance visa. That's going to take over a year to 2 years, unfortunately. But the tourist visa is really the fastest if you want to give it a shot. Maria on LinkedIn, are you finding L1Bs getting increasingly difficult once again? They seem to ease up for a while, not so much recently. I've avoided doing L1Bs for a couple of years now. I have a bigger team now of lawyers that work with me, so we're getting back into it, but I was full solo. So I haven't done an L1B. Those are specialized knowledge workers for L1 version. They have specialized knowledge for the company or something like that. But I haven't done one in a long time for an L1B. One of the little follows. So how long is it taking to receive a welcome letter after submit I-240? So I-240 has to be approved first. And so that could take 3 months to 2 years. And then once that's approved, then it might take a week to a couple of months to get a welcome notice from the National Visa Center. Lindy asks, roughly how long is the wait after you have been documented qualified? Do you think there's a chance that might change next year? So, Lindy, it depends, Lindy. It depends on the embassy you're working with. Some will schedule an embassy appointment, 2 months after you're documented qualified, and some will be 2 years. So, Lindy, it depends on the embassy you're dealing with and a lot of luck. Sometimes they're faster, sometimes they're slower. It's all over the place. You're welcome, Michael. User 28 on TikTok says, my wife's adjustment of status is denied. We applied I-290B. How long can she legally stay? She's not legally staying right now. She wasn't legally staying when I-485 was pending. But now that it's denied, you're accumulating what's called unlawful presence stays. We got to know more about your case to see how bad or good it is. Sometimes we just refile it because getting an I-485 denied is kind of peculiar if it was a good case. So hopefully you got a lawyer that helped you through that. AJS, hello, John. Thanks for doing this live. You're welcome. If petitioning for a parent that overstayed their visa, is it a significant fact they're still married and their partner's also overstayed? If you're a U.S. citizen petitioning for a parent, parent overstaying the visa by itself does not matter. So that's that. Lindy says embassy adjourned to South Africa. South Africa is probably taking a year and a half. I haven't done a South African case in I handle South Africa's adjustment of status, but the last South African consular processing case we did probably took like a year to get the interview. This was like 3 years ago, so it's been a while. It might have changed, probably changed by now. Maria asks, how difficult are emergency AP, the advanced parole, for those that have completed a 10-year bar? We have an individual in Mexico that needs to see a sick mom. So it wouldn't be emergency advanced parole. It would be just humanitarian parole. And so you got to apply for it. It's pretty difficult because they don't have that many officers working on it, and they're stringent on them. So I'm not sure if it's going to work, but you got no choice. Either file for that or a tourist visa and give it a shot. I'm just not optimistic, Maria, it's going to get approved. We have like one case like that pending for a person that's going to be like killed in their country and need to come here. But I told the client, this is a Hail Mary pass to stay in the U.S. in football games. Like, it's probably not going to happen. But, it's one of those last chance things you have. Frankly, actually, for Mexico, Maria, what I've seen happen for humanitarian parole is if you go show up at the border, and it's hard nowadays with all the border issues, but if you go to the border, in the Mexico border, and say this is the situation, they may grant you humanitarian parole to come back in, and that might be the way to go. I've seen that happen, but the last case our office did was it was U.S. citizen, daughter was in Mexico, and she was sick, and he just went to the border and said, I want humanitarian parole, and they let her in to deal with medical stuff. That was a citizen, so they let it slide. So it depends on the situation. It depends a lot on luck. There's a firm, actually, it's Sang Law, in Southern California, who helps a lot of people come in through the border. That's one of the specialties they have. My friend Joseph Sang, TSANG, handles that. He'd be a good person to talk to about trying to get it through the border. He has a lot of work days, work with the CBP officers there. So that's a person to look at, Maria. If he wants to help, Joseph Sang Law Firm, TSANG. Great guy. I love him. All right. So let's get question. Sorry, it's a firm asylum case. Yeah, it's got I-589 is the firm asylum case, and that you're referring to. And, I don't handle asylum cases, so I don't want to give too much. You can always give you got to file the basic outline of a case first with the form, but you always add stuff later. Edri says, I was a parole. Edri, I kind of lost track. What was your second question? Just the parole aspect doesn't matter for asylum per se, but you just got to wait. How long is U.S. citizen parents I-130 taking? I'm seeing them 12, 13 months really for U.S. citizen parent cases. D says, hello, sir, can I submit an I-129F after filing a petition for I-130 and it's been over a year? Yeah, you can. It's going to be a K-3 petition if you're a U.S. citizen. However, at this point, your case is probably going to get approved soon anyway, so I'm not sure if it's worth it. But it's no filing fee, so hey, why not give it a shot? Ivy says, can you get your CDL if you're undocumented? I think you mean a driver's license. In California, they have a program for undocumented people getting driver's licenses. XX says, hi, will my K-1 visa be affected because of my fiance's restraining order filed by her ex? Restraining orders by themselves don't necessarily restrict stuff. It could for fiance visa. Fiance visa are really strict because there's a lot of abuse that happened in the past with it. But it could be problematic, probably not. But if you break the restraining order and you do something like that and criminal charges come, that can be a serious problem. The fiance visa, for some reason, from I-129F, they get really strict on criminal stuff that they don't in marriage cases. Another reason to do a marriage case than a fiance case. Probably it's okay, but it's going to be discretion. Edri says, what's a good way to make them give a decision for my asylum case? Sue them. Messi says, I'm a U.S. citizen, and the embassy told me I'm documented qualified 2 months ago. Ethiopia. Okay. Ethiopia is going to be super backed up. I don't even think they do processing in Ethiopia. I have to go to another country, but I just got to wait. The Notorious says, hypothetical, if DACA ends, do you think DACA receives their first time pending on which receive? I can't give hypotheticals about, I can't answer hypotheticals. In the law, and the Supreme Court, for example, will not, any court cannot adjudicate a hypothetical case. I don't want to do the same. This is a political situation, so it's up to them what they want to do. Messi says, I'm a U.S. Okay, so like, good night. What is the fastest time span for sibling sponsorship? There's no fastest timeline for sibling sponsorship. It's going to take forever. Mohammed says, my family approved case under I-730, just the interview, got 221G, then I provided requested info. What's next? You wait for them to give a decision. Riley says, how long after the I-130 approval does the I-45 approve by looking for? There's no connection to the timelines whenever they want to do it. Ukrainian National says, name a country for an edit. I don't know what that means. Oscar says, can I submit to approve of? No, it's up to the embassy, the asylum office when they're going to schedule an appointment. Abdul asks, how long does it take to get a visa approved I-134 in Afghanistan? It's going to take forever for Afghani case. It's going to take years. Riley says, how long after the I-130 approved? We're going to answer that question. My family got 221G under I-730, received the email asking to provide extra info about my 18-year-old son. What next? You give the info and you wait. We get a lot of repeat questions. Kind of repeat questions of different people. So it's, we answer one person, should get the rest of them in too. How long is the I-90 taking lost any green cards? Anywhere from 3 months to 2 years for I-90 green card renewal. You're welcome. D. Nelexon says, what if you miss your merit-based green card interview? Can my son refile for me? He can. You should do it as soon as possible because you're going to be out of status. You might get a notice to appear in court and stuff like that. You don't want to miss those interviews. It's pretty hardcore. Abdul says, how long takes the visa appointment? I-135. It's going to take a while. TikTok says, what if joint sponsor fails to qualify, but petitioner sponsor qualifies? Will it be an RFE? If the petitioner sponsor qualifies, you don't need a joint sponsor. Penn says, if you come here undocumented, is it possible to become a citizen with a green card? It's not impossible, but that's like a whole thing you got to go through. It's not the place to talk about that. Cha-Cha says, what if your I-485 says interview if necessary? Does it mean you're going to interview or going to waive? You're going to see. They're going to either schedule one or approve it. And we don't have any, I don't know way to tell you. And Penn says, if you come here, okay, I'd say, Layla says, can I still renew my DACA if it expired 3 or 4 months ago? Maybe. Try to get it in. If it's expired for less than a year, sometimes they'll renew it. So it's worth a shot. And keep an eye out. Don't let it expire. It's not a wise thing to let happen. So Warren says, how's that? We already answered that. Elise says, how do you stop a marriage case of getting divorced now after it got approved? You can't. So if you already approved, then it's done. Yulef says, how long, probably you're saying, how long is it taking to receive our, the timelines, I don't know. It's going to take however long USCIS wants to take. Fishon says, what happens at the green card interview? They go over your history, your forms, your paperwork, your background. They ask you questions about the basis of getting a green card to see if everything matches and your background's good. And that's what they're doing, checking you out. Prince says, which category of parolees can adjust status? I think maybe the Afghans have some program that typically none. A parolee is just a person to come back in. They need some other basis to adjust status. Maybe for the Afghans, there's something like that, but I don't. Parolee is just a way to come into the United States. Stefano says, hey, how are you? I'm doing good, brother. Okay. Ari says, my conditional green card extended for 48 months. During this period, can I submit for naturalization? Yeah, if you qualify, yeah. How long does it take for teachers to do self-petition naturalization EB2? How does it take? I'm not sure what you mean, how does it take? But, you could do pre and processing and get a question answered faster. Ashok says, what the pros and cons of being a dual citizen other than a U.S. citizen alone? It depends on what country you're from and if you want to keep, there's no pros and cons. If you want to keep it, do it. I don't know. Sophia says, what's the best option after student visa OPT expires? Maybe start a business, E2. Maybe if you're STEM, get STEM OPT. If you could, go back to school. If you get married, there's no best options, whatever is available to you. It's not a best thing. It's about what is appropriate for your case. And he says, can I get a green card for overseas tourism visa? Maybe if you married a U.S. citizen or something like that. Shabari says, are teachers, professors, lecturers exempted from H-1B lottery? Not necessarily. You have to be working for a research institute or a university or something like that to be exempt from it. So just being a professor depends on where you're professing. Stefano says, two last names is Hispanic. I've put both my last names in my passport application or only a first name. Put whatever your lawful name is. That's about it. How long does they get an interview after biometrics? There's no connection between the biometrics and the interview. Would there be an RFE if 1040 schedules are not attached, but only 1040 and W2 is attached with I-864? Maybe, if the officer wants to. Just get a tax transcript. That's the very best way to do it. Nora says, my 24-month I-797 extension expired already. I'm still not getting updates. Well, you don't tell me what you mean by I-797 extension. Yeah, when you just everyone watching this, don't say NOA1, NOA2, I-797. Immigration lawyers do not use that language. Much simpler. Let's say I got my receipts for I-90. You got to be specific because I-797 form just means you got a communication with the government. It can be anything. And then on the other end, when you say NO1, NOE1, NO1, these are these websites for people doing know. Nobody calls them notice action 1 or 2. I mean, not real immigration attorneys. I talk to thousands constantly. I'm really big in the immigration community. Just say what the document is. I got a green card extension renewal. Just specify in simple terms what it is. But if you still haven't got it, request evidence of a green card to hold you over. But these things just take forever. Nora says, how long does it take to bring your citizen spouse if you're a green card per resident? Right now, it's taking 4 or 5 years, but hopefully it gets faster. Maria says, if married for 2 years, then file for adjustment of status, will USCIS automatically issue permanent green card? Do you have to ask for green card? No, they'll automatically fix it up to what they need to be if you've been married for more than 2 years, based on the marriage case. Okay, let's see. How long after I get a work permit can I get my social? Really immediately. If you don't get it, go to the Social Security office. Bravo says, can a lawyer compose a case for asylum seekers? I'm not sure what you mean compose a case, but lawyers who represent asylum seekers. Why is the N400 case being reviewed twice? I don't know. I don't know your case. Behind your skipper says, why is it taking so long for an interview date after documents are qualified for I-130? You're not being documents are qualified for the I-130. The National Visa Center is documents qualifying for visa, immigrant visa, and it just backed up. It's been backed up for years. Simon manual says immigration officers, of which immigration officers are mostly approving adjustment of status for pending asylee. I don't keep track. I mean, I kind of do, but it's not something I can talk about. It's just this is not factual information. Just like see some stuff here and there. So it's not something I talk about in public, but it's a crappy situation to deal with. Wherever you are, you gotta get a shot. You can't really foreign shot. Good says, how can unmarried child under 21 who is outside the U.S. come quicker? Has pending I-130 by citizen. Just keep doing expedite requests. User 55 says, it's hard finding a joint sponsor for my spouse. I'm only short by $800. My tax will slow it down. If you got to have, if you're a U.S. citizen, you just need to have like $2,400 in savings to make up for it. So maybe you could do that. Just have some savings or something like that. Teach says, how does it take for teachers? So we already answered that. Is it true? Is it true if you're married for more than 2 years and qualify for a 10-year green card? Yes, that's true. Sir, please notice my mom is sick in Africa. How can I bring her medical? You need a B1 tourist, B2 tourist visa for medical purposes. It's a long shot, but that's what you got to do. MK says I applied, maybe humanitarian parole too, but they're both long shots. MK says I applied for asylum. I got Social Security, 2 years past, no clue of interview. Yep, they're backed up. What are the average EAD times for AOS cases these days? I don't know. Most of them get down 2 or 3 months, but I have some that are pending 8, 9 months. Channel says, can I change my daughter's I-130 from consular processing Guyana to here in the United States? Well, if she's here lawfully and there's no like fraud or something like that, you just file for adjustment status. Yeah. It says, what's the best health insurance for green card holders? I don't do health insurance. I don't know. You can say hello to do. Kailush says, how long will it take to get my green card? I'm like 1 month, 2 weeks now, a citizen with CR1 visa. If you have a CR1 visa, you have your green card. If you get the actual green card, it usually takes 2 weeks. If it takes 2 weeks to 9 months, or they lose it, if you don't get it by a month, call USIS. You should have paid the green card fee as well if you came with constant processing. So I don't know. It just depends on how they want to run it and how lucky you are. Ricardo says, hi, I received an RFE for the I-485 adjustment of status. Do you think my work permit backlog has something to do with that? No. It is adjustment of status. No, it has nothing to do with that. I have cases, RFEs that get work permits anyways. Shabar says, if I do have immigration options here, how hard is it to immigrate to Canada from USA? I don't handle Canadian immigration. I don't know. Can I convert my B2 to F1? Yeah, it's called change of status. Simon Angel follows up. What impact, positive and negative, does same-sex marriage have if a gay pending assigned marries a U.S. citizen? Will there be a lot of questions regarding an interview? Well, if you married a U.S. citizen, you would just do a green card based on marriage and cancel your asylum case. How long does the money have to be in my savings? 12 months on average. An average of 12 months in the required amount. Mohammed says, my asylum is pending in BIA. My I-130 approved. My wife's a citizen. What's next? If you had appropriate case for adjustment status to do that, I don't know, Mohammed. I need a lot more information about your case to be able to answer that question. Nora says, how to get updates on our case from USCIS, not get a response to inquiry. Just go to us.gov, check your case number, most likely just pending. Bobby says, why is Abu Dhabi not giving interviews scheduled? They're super backed up. It's going to take a year or two to get an interview. They're just backed up and slow. US user 79 says, U.S. Consular has adjudicated and refused your application. Doesn't mean it's declined. No, it's just refuse is a horrible terminology used if you do an embassy appointment and they're not immediately approving your case. This thing's refused. They probably need to do more background checks, so they're asking for more documents, but you got to see what happens. Evelyn says, can a bank account be open while waiting on asylum? That's up to the bank and who they open accounts for. No one says, I'm from Afghanistan, I'm granted asylum. Can Trump deport those who have granted? No. No one says, I mean, unless you do some sort of like violation or you lied or something like that. Safso says, apply for adjustment of status for mom in August 2021. How long does it take? Less than a year. I'm not sure why your case is taking that long. TikTok says, are interview marriages still being waived? Yes, for the most part. Have you heard they're not being waived at the same rate? Most cases are being waived. Mario follows like, you rock, love listening to you. Thanks for sharing your great experience on these lives. Have a great night. You're welcome, Maria. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate it. Bobby says, how strong would you recommend transfer Yerevan or Armenia from Abu Dhabi? If your case just started, it got to National Visa Center, just recently documented qualified, we transfer all our cases to Yerevan or Armenia from Abu Dhabi. But I had a person come to me, they've been waiting for a year in Abu Dhabi, and they transfer it now. I'm not sure how efficient that'll be, but I don't send any cases to anywhere but Yerevan at this time. Dora says, how long will I-824 take to be approved? Please, thanks. 3 months to 2 years. It's been Salah said in 2 months, I submitted a change of status from B1 to F1. Already did the biometrics. Still waiting. That premium processing for that, you can pay extra $1,700, get a faster decision. Allah says, green card holders should apply for Medicare or Medicaid, right? Because that would be public charge. Not necessarily. I don't want to get into health insurance kind of stuff. It's too complex, and I don't want to talk about it live, frankly. What are the chances to get approved on status change from B1 to students? If you have a good case, 100%. If you have a bad case, 100% get denied. If you have a good case, 100% denied. It's not a chances thing. It depends on like what's going on with your case and what evidence you have. I just can't give a blank statement like that. User 55 says, I would just send them my bank statements. I can't give you exact guidance on how to fill an application form. All the information you need is listed on the instructions for Form I-864. Go check it on the website. It specifies how to produce information to use savings or, that kind of to support your affidavit support. Mohammed says, do I need to wait until my asylum case is remanded to the court in order to adjust status? You need to talk with the attorney in private to see what's going on with your case. There's a lot more information needed. Sal says, my program starts in January. What should I do? You should contact the lawyer and talk with them in private. It's too case specific. Ricardo says, thank you for responding. You're welcome. User 37 says, is there a minimum age for my wife to come to America? I'm getting married overseas. I'm 18 and she's 15. It has to be legal in the place you're marrying at. So that's one thing. There's backlash against people marrying like 18 and 15-year-olds like that. So the USCIS updated it, and they sometimes will say it has to be valid in the state that you're moving to. So check out the USCIS memo on this. It came out probably like 2.5 years ago. There was a news story where that made a lot of publicity on it. Immediately, USCIS issued a memo about it. I can't remember the details of it exactly. I think it was like it has to be valid in your home country, and it has to be valid in the state that you live in for or something like that. But check it. That would be the place to go. Check out that memo. Purpose says, hello, first time here. Thanks for joining. Purpose, not perfection. No one says, can you apply for a green card after you're granted? Right after you're granted for asylum? You technically can, but if they're jerks, they can still deny it and say I haven't waited 1 year. So that's recently happened to a colleague of mine. User 39 says, at no one. Oh, I'm not sure what that is. User 550 says, pregnancy issues a reason to expedite? Maybe. It depends on what the situation is, but it could be. Kevin says, I'm OPT F1 visa expired. Can I travel outside the United States? Well, you need a visa to return. If you're going to Canada or Mexico and you're from most countries of the world and you go and come back within 30 days, potentially come back, unless you're from Iran, Syria, or something like that, and a couple other countries. So that's that. Kelly says, how soon do you get a response after the biometrics? There's no association or correlation between them. How long is work permit approval? 3 months, a year. TikTok says, does concurrent filing acknowledgement receipt allow beneficiaries staying beyond their status expiry? If you have an I-485 pending, yes. Wilson says, I submitted the VAWA with adjustment status concurrently, married U.S. citizen. How long to receive a receipt notice? You should get it a week or two. VAWA cases might take longer to get the receipt notice, like a month or something like that. Salah says, how long premium process taking for change of status? 15 days. Depends on what kind of case you have filed. I think it's F1 case, probably 30 days or something like that. I can't remember the details. I don't really do premium processing for like F1 and stuff like that, which I think is your case. It's just a new thing. I haven't done it yet. But if you're doing it like for an L1 or H1B or something like that, or E2, it takes 2 weeks, 15 business days or something like that. Can a Canadian get a green card an easier way? Not necessarily. You get a work visa a little bit easier depending on your work, but it's not a green card. Chris says, it's been 3 months since I sent my I-601 waiver and some got a response receipt. Well, did they cash the check? Did they, get the money for it? That's a good way to know what's happening. Nye says, where do you ask questions? Right where you ask that question. AG says, in your experience, would it be easier or helpful if petitioning for a parent with overstay visa that is one of the approved methods to process nationalization? Doesn't matter. If you're a U.S. citizen applying for a parent to overstay a visa, it doesn't matter. You could overstay a visa. Now, I don't know your case. I can't say you're good or not. I need to have a consultation. But an overstay by itself for a parent of a U.S. citizen doesn't matter. Can they approve the I-130, not the I-485? Yes. How fast is the marriage green card case these days? Could be 3 months. Could be many, many years. Love you, sir. Lots of respect. Appreciate it. You're welcome, Mama. Thanks so much. Alex says, I've been waiting 4 years for my case to get dismissed. Everything I can do to expedite. Just file a lawsuit. Maybe, I don't know. Depends. User one says, do Canadians have a special way to get a green card? I'll answer that one. No. DM says, my husband had interviewed 1030. I'm not sure what they mean. I-130. An immigrant petition, but needed ISIS for A, but still no status. We got to get the documents they want. How long is I don't handle U visa, so I'm not going to comment on that. My Masaluk says, my I-130, I-485 pending for 16 months in BA inquiry stem, still nothing. What should I do? Kind of wait and complain and stuff like that, but maybe file a lawsuit if it's too long. I just kind of complain a lot. Okay. What if beneficiary files for adjustment of status while in status, but gets receipt after they're out of status? Is it okay? Look at the receipt date that they got it, and it should have been in status at the day they got the receipt notice. Daniela says, hi, good evening. Which change I have to have approved for a CR1 visa? My husband has domestic battery. His ex-wife and her wait since April 2022. Also have 2 kids. I'm not sure what you mean. Which change I have to have been approved for? The question doesn't make sense, Daniela. I'll try to rephrase it. You're welcome, Bobby. Mama says, my sister from Pakistan F4 category here. Prior to 2012, she got an invoice for MSC, but the fee tab is not active. Sir, how long does it take the visa? Check out the visa bulletin, F4 category, and that'll tell you the first chart that comes up. In the left, is the column most on the left. That'll tell you it's going to be probably another year or two. It's not moving. That column's not moving, so it's going to be a while until that moves forward. Plus, even when it moves forward, getting the embassy point in Pakistan is super backed up, so it's probably going to be years until something happens. IR9 says, it's been 4 weeks since I submitted my ADACA. Should I send inquiry for 4 weeks? Why would you send inquiry for just 4 weeks? I'm not sure what kind of case you have. ADACA, I'm not sure what you're asking about. The answer is that I provide I-64A after 221G refusal on October 21st, but no update. Yeah, they can take a while. Maybe email them. Simon says, does having a pro bono representation from a prominent law firm related to Watkins firm international increase chance of winning an asylum case? Not necessarily. It just depends on how well the case is at the end of the day. So it's how well the case is and how well you perform at the interview. User 18 says 7 months into 8 and 600 should it take that long? Yeah, it could take longer. Amir says, when a refugee case eligible for applying green card, essentially as soon as their asylum case is approved or asylee, but wait a year or wait close to a year probably to start for filing. I submitted my DACA renewal 4 weeks ago. Is that out of the ordinary? What's out of the ordinary? That you filed it 4 weeks ago? I don't know. If you got a receipt, yeah, a couple weeks. Check the filing fee. If it's been checks been cashed or credit cards been charged, you know it's there. But I'm not sure. It's going to take longer than 4 weeks to get a case approved usually. Amir says, answer that question. Taz says, didn't get my EAD, but I got my social security number. What must I do? Wait to see what happens to your case, I guess, or contact them. I don't know the details. We already answered Amir's question there. You just asked it over and over again. Christina says, how does it take years right now? TikTok says hello. TikTok says, what receipt date is shown the I-797? The date they actually received the package? Yeah, that's the receipt package. Is the receipt date or filing date. Ruby Doris says, my I-13 has been approved, but while waiting for the approval letter from the embassy, I was told I didn't indicate the country I was going for my interview. What should I do? You're not going to get an approval letter from an embassy. Door TV, you may have incorrectly marked boxes. Your case may be stuck with adjustment with USCIS. You unfortunately have to go through the unfortunate step of how to file an I-240 potentially. Look at your I-130 approval notice. It'll tell you what you need to do. You may need to refile the I-130 too if you messed it up. Assignment says, is there any loss in my name's process to expedite the green card after winning the asylum case? It's taking 3 years. Yeah, you could do the exact lawsuit and see what happens. As a green card holder, can I go home and return every 4 months? You can, but over time, they're going to question whether you're living in the United States and they can try to take away your green card. So Harry asks, wife wrote a letter USCIS accusing me of marrying her for a green card and withdrew as an fine case, and Hunter also denied. Marriage without the legitimate claim of child being approved. We got to fight that out, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear about that, Zohair, especially if you have a kid. It's terrible. Shabi says, we're going to end the show pretty soon, so get your questions in. We skipped a lot of questions. Let's see. Ruby says, I-751 filed when application should reach USCIS. We know it's 9 days. Should be 91st day. You got to send it within the 90 days. Just wait an extra day or two. A says, my husband came from Pakistan. It's almost 1 month. He did not receive a green card. Call USCIS to see where it is, and hopefully you pay the $220 fee. Shivi says, how long will a NOID get approved after submitting documents? Whenever they get around to it. Sigma says, 2 months after my F100 interview, still waiting for approval. Yeah. A says, you didn't answer me, sir. I answered every question that was here. Ask your question again, and if we get to it, we'll answer it. Miles says, after a green card, how can I travel more than a year or two? Get a re-entry permit. Form I-131. Everyone says, my niece's green card is expired, and they're staying in their back country. They're staying in their home country. How can I take them back shortly? I'm not sure what your question is. If they're a green card holder, they should be living here. I'm not sure the rest is. NK says, my processing time leave from 2 to 3 months. Is that okay? There's no real processing time. It's whenever they get around to it. Jakuta says, how long does USCIS take to make a decision after getting the RFE for medical? A week, a year, and somewhere in between. Katie says, what are your chances of getting the I-485 approval if you mark that you're a citizen by mistake on an I-9? Well, if they find out about it, it's 100% denial and 99% getting deported. You should not have filed for adjustment of status if you falsely claim to be a U.S. citizen, even just by mistake. That was a terrible idea to do. Unfortunately, your life's going to be really bad if you're dealing with this. You need to get a lawyer and talk with them as soon as possible, Katie. It's usually the kiss of death. If you had a lawyer, they would have told you not to file that case if you claim false claim on I-9. Sorry to tell you that here, but that's why you got to have attorneys you talk with that you trust, that you can talk with and review this stuff to avoid you kind of making mistakes. On that side, I don't want to leave on that sad note. Let's try again. One more question that's a little bit happier. Can marriage adjustment be filed if the spouse are living in different states? It can, and we do that, but you need to have a reason for living separately. AG says, sorry, John, step away. We're able to counsel. I did, AG, but unfortunately, this show just ended, so reach us back again next week. AG, let's see where your question was about. I said it doesn't matter if your parent overstayed. That's not a reason for someone to deny a case if they're a parent U.S. citizen. So with that, if you want to schedule a private consultation, please email the office info@jqqlaw.com, and we schedule a private consultation or fees associated with that. If not, tune in again next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we can take your question live. And with that, God bless, be safe, and I'll see you all next week.